Fair or not, the Sega CD is known for two things: FMV games and flimsy game cases, often referred to as long boxes, that offer no replacement. They would often break at the hinge even under the most gentle care. Even with this problem being well known, Sega continued to issue these long boxes for the complete life of the Saturn, even supplying them to some early PS1 releases. As decades have passed, there has been a ton of discussion about reproduction long box cases, but until this year, the only way to replace a case was to harvest a donor from a cheap, less desirable game. By the end of 2018, two replacement options will be available for purchase. Today, we're looking at the first to market, the long box replacement case by VGC, or Video Game Cases Online. This is Retro Impressions, and we are looking at the VGC long box replacement case. First, a bit of background. The man behind VGC is Chris, and his journey to this point goes all the way back to the mid-90s, where he dreamed of one day owning a Sega CD. When the Saturn launched, the high price made the decision as to what system he should purchase quite easy. It was the much more budget-friendly Nintendo 64. 12 years would pass by, and by 2008, Chris still thought about the Sega CD and the Saturn. But now he had the disposable income to buy one, along with what would eventually become a complete North American library for the Sega CD. Picking these games up came with the realization that the cases were fragile and replacements didn't exist. Everyone seemed to be suffering from the same problem, but no one was working to offer a solution. Over the next couple years, he would reach out to a number of US manufacturers trying to make replacement long boxes a reality. This included companies such as Best Will Corp, Aerial Plastics Incorporated, Contact Plastics, and Cascade Quality Molding. Unfortunately, there was a major upfront cost hurdle. The cheapest a mold plate could be created in the United States was for around $25,000. That, compounded with manufacturing costs, made the possibility of recouping the investment doubtful. Years passed, but the idea of making this a reality remained. Around the end of 2016, Chris decided to look into the project again, this time turning to overseas manufacturing in an attempt to lower the cost of the mold plate. By July 22, 2017, the production contract was signed and the mold plate was created using an original Sega CD case. This is a rather important detail, but I'll come back to it shortly. One of the biggest hurdles facing VGC was the lack of a distribution network in the lower 48 states. VGC is based in Alaska, so to keep shipping costs in check, arrangements were made to send the long boxes direct from China to Amazon, who could easily process the orders. The cases cost $4 each and are sold 10 at a time. They come well packaged, with each being individually wrapped. I didn't have any cracks or breaks in the cases I received. I have a number of my original cases that need replacement, all having a variety of problems, some being broken for over 25 years. This allowed me to test a wide range of possibilities, including mixing and matching parts from the new run with my original cases. Each case is comprised of a lid, inner tray, and back piece. I measured the new cases, comparing them against the originals, and everything seems to be in order. In fact, they are so close you might lose track of what inner tray or back piece is the original if you're not paying close attention. That's not to say it's perfect though, because there is a rather substantial problem. While the case initially appears to be identical in length, the issue comes from the closing edge of the lid having a slight outward flare that makes it around 1mm wider where the lid meets case. It's a rather odd mistake because the top portion of the lid that you slide the manual into measures correctly. Unfortunately, this is rather substantial because all long box cases stay in a closed position by utilizing two very small nubs found on this edge. Two small nubs that are no longer in contact with the case due to this very minor mistake. The other consequence is a sloppy fitting hinge. This isn't an issue in itself, but if you close your eyes and I hand you two cases, it's indistinguishable from an original case that's getting ready to break at the hinge. Both feel rather weak and tired. It's really hard to say if this was a problem on the manufacturing side, or if this was present in the case that was used for the mold, because it's not uncommon to see this type of warpage in this style of case. I personally have a number of original cases that suffer from the same issue that need replacement, and sadly, this isn't the solution. Maybe the biggest consequence of this error is foam inserts can't be used when a case doesn't lock closed, meaning the effects of gravity will continue to wear on those manuals. While the top has issues, the bottom half is mostly made to spec, allowing you the opportunity to mix and match a good original top with a new bottom without many issues. There is a slight miss with the tray, causing it to fit looser than most others that I own, but it's not a deal breaker. As I said before, this is a Sega CD case, and that matters for a few reasons. First off, the Sega CD, Saturn, and PlayStation long boxes are all made to the same spec, allowing you to swap inserts and games from any old broken case to these new ones. However, the hinge was redesigned for the Saturn, meaning you can't mix and match bottoms and tops. If you're replacing a Saturn or PlayStation long box, you will need to replace the entire thing. That's not to say you can't reuse the original CD tray in all instances. There are some minor changes here that I'm not going to get into, but the fit remained unchanged for the entire production of long boxes. So, do I recommend these? That really depends on you. If you're only looking to replace cases that have cracks on the front lid, yet still lock closed, then no, you shouldn't pick these up. However, if you are looking to replace broken cases, bad backs, or the inner tray, then these are a great option. While I feel slightly disappointed in the oversight with the lid and the tray, I do feel it's something that can be fixed moving forward. In the end, I feel this is a promising start, even though there is issues that still need to be addressed. Putting the measurements and fit aside, the case parts are all of high quality. Once the issues with the top and the tray are fixed, there won't be any reason left not to buy these unless you're particular about staying with the Saturn hinge design for your Saturn and PlayStation games. Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave a positive or negative comment letting me know your thoughts. Click subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. If you're interested in staying updated on upcoming projects and channel news, follow me on Twitter. Until next time, I'm Genovi and this has been Retro Impressions and Reviews.